Добрий день.
Good afternoon. Thanks everybody for joining us. Media Center of Ukraine Forum continues its operation. It's day 238 of our fight for freedom, and we will talk about the situation in the fuel market of Ukraine. And we're having Serhii Kuiun live. He's the director of A95 Consulting Group. Hello, Mr. Serhii. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Serhii. After prolonged discussions as to reintroduction of the excise tax on fuel, how did it impact the fuel market in Ukraine? As we were foreseeing, it did not have a significant influence on the situation. And in fact, there are other factors of influence, and it's the resolution of OPEC, the cartel of biggest oil mining countries, who together with other powerful players in the market such as Russia, Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan, who achieved the decision on the decrease of mining volumes, which led to a significant jump in prices, which led to the growth of price in the international market. So before this resolution, it was like $80 per barrel. Now it's over 100, so technically more than 15% growth. It further entailed the growth of the gas prices all over the world, and diesel as well. The gas prices increased by 7 to 8%, and the procurement price for raw oil product grew as well, which entailed the price correction in both wholesale market and in the pump stations in Ukraine as well. Within the last 2 weeks, the price of diesel grew like 2 hryvnias average in retail. Gas prices remained unchanged, and there is one hryvnia worth correction for liquefied gas. In case this resolution would not have been adopted, no one would have seen any changes. That excise tax would not influence any price changes. Mr. Serhii, do you observe any growth on prices in generating means of oil products like diesel? No. I can greet everybody that we are already through the season of active consumption, which was from August to the end of September, mid-October. There were no lines in the pump stations, no drastic price growth. It means that the market stabilized, it found its market ways, and the new structure, it operates perfectly, and it provides with all the fuel to satisfy the requirements of the market. So now we're entering the dead season when the consumption is gonna fall, and I don't really envisage any problems with any types of fuel. Still, to what extent winter can complicate the logistics, because we all understand that now the logistics is focused on fuel tank trucks. In fact, yes, we can imagine some blizzards and powerful snow, but I guess everybody understands it's not about the fuel supply. Now that all the exports and imports go through the roads in Ukraine, so all the Automobile transport and railroad transport operate perfectly, so I don't expect any complications in this regard. You mentioned the growth of oil prices in the world generally, and how can such growth influence the price of gas in Ukraine? What's your price forecast for the short-term perspective? We're seeing quite an interesting situation this week when the prices grew up to $97 per barrel. So the oil prices started falling. Yesterday we've seen it around $90 per barrel. So first the market was in turmoil, but now the situation is calming down and the price for oil fell, I would say, dramatically. However, the price of diesel fuel all over the world is not falling, which means that there is a good demand for this kind of product. And usually in Europe we see the increase in diesel consumption in this period, in the beginning of winter. And we hear the news of Europeans accumulating their reserves before introduction of embargo on Russian oil products. I want to remind you that the embargo is being implemented for import of Russian oil products in Europe starting from December 5. And we can see that Europe is indeed very dependent on Russian fuel, and they're now in search of new alternative ways of supply, alternative logistic chains, and there is certain nervousness. They don't want to hide it, especially in the northern Europe, like Germany, Poland. There is certain agitation that they think that some issues may arise due to embargo. But in the south of Europe, they are closer to the Arabian supply chains, so there is no much concern in those areas. But still, the Europeans are replenishing their provisions, which keeps the prices pretty high. So no matter the fall of the raw oil prices, the gas prices are still as high as 2 weeks ago. I can see the wholesale prices in Ukraine to stabilize now, and I think that respectively the prices on the fuel stations will be stabilizing shortly. Again, I want to emphasize that the diesel fuel is the product which enjoys the most extensive demand, but still I think that the stabilization will come within foreseeable period, so I don't expect any significant fluctuations. Mr. Serhii, this month are usually critical for the fuel market in Ukraine. Are we in need to prepare for this? What are the steps to be taken within such preparation? Well, the only steps we can take is to replenish the provisions, but it requires significant funds because the prices are still high enough. In my opinion, now we have a very good supply picture. Maybe the issue of concern is the winter types of fuel, because they were previously manufactured by our Kremenchuk oil processing factory. We had supply from Belarus, from Russia, of those winter types of fuel. Now we have to find the alternatives in Europe. So now we're having like 50%. So 50% are being imported from northern countries, which have the same weather conditions as in Ukraine, but another 50% are being manufactured in the south, where they don't have much need for the winter types of fuel due to the peculiarities of their climate. That's why traders are very active now in their cooperation with the suppliers, with the manufacturers, to establish the supply of the winter types of fuel now. We can see the moving in two ways. First they use the anti-gel additives in the fuel bases to increase its freezing resistance, and they cooperate also with the manufacturers. So they add the aviation gas to the diesel fuel in the reasonable amounts, which significantly increases its freezing resistance characteristics. So the work is in progress, so I think that this issue will be solved generally in a normal manner. So I expect the market to deliver the supply equal to the demand. Your questions, dear colleagues. Oksana Polishuk, Ukrinform. First question: how did the structure of fuel consumption change starting from the February? And did the consumption decrease comparing to the last year? And to what extent are fuel stations dependent with the electricity supply issues? So there is a threat that the disconnection from electricity supply will impede the supplies of fuel. As to the structure, it didn't change. We have the same proportions in this triangle: diesel gas and technical gas, liquefied gas, but we have an unequal decrease in consumption. So liquefied gas consumption decreased like 50%. Maybe the consumption of gas decreased like 35-40%, and the consumption of diesel decreased around 35%. As to the operation of fuel stations, so to the best of my knowledge, the big complexes of the big chain companies, they are equipped with diesel generators, so they will continue their operation uninterruptedly, and I'm sure where those generators are not yet installed, they will be installed, and I'm sure that the fuel dispensing equipment will maintain its operation. We can see that some of the fuel supplier companies, they also implement some electricity saving measures like switching off the lighting, but generally it will not impede the fuel supply. Mr. Serhii, thank you for joining us. I will remind you, we will have Serhii Kuiun with us online, the head of A95 Consulting Group. Our next briefing is at 1300. We will have Dmitry Lebenes, the Commissioner of Human Rights. Stay with us.